everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. Today on Bones Collector we're continuing our series where Lori and I are playing our way through our board gaming library. So we're going to play a couple of games, 2 or 3 games each week, and make a video about it and pass it on to you, and I hope you enjoy them. Hey you guys, before we start today's video, Lori and I would like to take a few moments in time to thank all of you for your kind thoughts about our cat Toothless that we had to put to sleep, our 6-month-old kitten. It was very hard to do. And for those of you who have pets, I mean, they become a part of your everyday life, your everyday routine. They become a part of you. And so when you have to part with them, it's very difficult.
Even though he wasn't here very long, he sure made a big impression.
He was outstanding, and we had just put our other cat, Duchess, to sleep, and she was only 3. We did that in the first week in December, and that was very difficult. And
so we've had a rough couple months.
Yeah, and I wasn't very manly when I was in the room with the vet as I held them there and we put them to sleep. The tears were flowing. I loved both those cats, and it was hard to say goodbye to them. But thank you for your thoughts. It means more to us than we can possibly express. And please enjoy the video. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. And today Laura and I just got done playing Tinner's Trail by Martin Wallace. Now, Tinner's Trail came out originally in 2008, and it was pretty popular, I think. You know, I've been reading a little bit about the original edition, and people really like this game. And they reprinted it or did a Kickstarter on it in 2021. That's when it delivered, I guess. 2021, so it would have been, you know, whatever before that. And it's by Alley Cat Games. And this is a 1 to 5 player game, so it has a solo variant. I have not done that, but it does have that ability for you folks that want to play solo. And it is an action point, uses an action point or time system. It has an auction bidding system in it, some dice rolling to set the market, and the market speculation. And the winning condition is the most points, and you're going to score a lot of points in this game. It's just the nature.
Some of you will.
Yeah, that's the nature of what he scored a lot of points too. But it's the nature of what this game is. But let's talk about the production of the game. I always do that for you guys. It's an adequate box, very nice box for this game. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't come with a divider or anything or an insert of any kind.
And this is the retail copy.
Yeah, this is the retail. Well, it was Kickstarted.
Yeah.
What happens on Kickstarter then? The retail copy is going to be very much like the Kickstarter. And it's just not going to contain, like this doesn't have the expansions that came in the Kickstarter, and I don't know, maybe some other items.
All the stuff isn't screen printed.
Yeah, so, I mean, there are some differences in the game, but as far as the physical production of the game, it's going to be very similar to the Kickstarter, the retail copy. So that's why I always tell you not to get involved in Kickstarter. This retail copy, in one word, is perfect for production. For this Drive a Euro game, this is perfect production. It's very nicely done. I mean, the board is beautiful. All the little tokens are wood, and they're very nice. This piece is nice, where you choose where to put your mines. You have these big wooden cubes, and we've got them in these containers. But Lori said she got from Michael's. Yeah, and then have lids that snap on them, so these don't come with the game. These are the boards. This is a randomizer board that is put on the table to give you ships and trains and adits, extra miners and steam pumps, and it's different for each player count. So it has a player count on the back. We use the one, of course, for the 2-player count. But these are nice thick cardboard. These mines are all nice and wood. The dice are sculpted dice that you roll to determine the price of the ore items, the copper and the tin. The card stock is linen, very nice linen cards, very nice cards. I mean, for this game, for the type of game this is, they did it perfectly. And this is the retail copy. You wouldn't need anything else. I guess, and Lori said these are screen printed, some of these wood items in the Kickstarter game. Hey, you don't need that. I mean,
our money's screen printed.
Yeah, this was,
so's our little top hats.
And we bought this off the clearance table of the cool stuff for $25. We have brand new in the shrink, and so I guess what I'm saying is, you know, you can really overspend on this stuff. I'm sure the Kickstarter with all the screen printing, all that stuff, was very expensive, but this was very inexpensive because we found it in that way. And I'm sure you could pick this game up from somebody for $20, $25, selling it on a VFM or go to a board gaming convention. And and pick it up. You also have a couple of wooden tokens here to track your money and your points. These are hats, miner hats, and they are screen printed. So the point tokens and the money tokens are screen printed, and you use the same track to keep track of your money and your points. You have to pay attention to what you're doing, otherwise you can mess that up. You have these tokens here that
Drainage?
Yeah, drainage tokens that take off water off spaces, adjacent spaces when that comes into play. The rule book itself is like a cloth linen. It's pretty nice. I mean, this is a nice game. It's nicely
Very
done.
nice production.
And the rule book's very good. Yeah, I mean, there was just nothing to complain about. Oh, you got a couple of peeky tokens here where you're going to be able to peek at face down tiles on the board. And the tiles themselves, the tiles on the board are very, they're just regular thickness, but everything's very nicely done. Now, this is a card here that you have for a 1 to 2 player game, because you got A, B, and C tiles, tells you which ones to put on here, and then you have a random deck here that you draw, and you determine one tile in each area to flip over. I'm just going to turn some over just for the heck of it, so to show you how you start the game. But that all comes with the game, and it's very, again, I mean, I can't believe it. It's very nicely done. And so enough about the production. How about the game? The game is excellent. It's kind of a dry Euro. The theme isn't one that's going to excite you and make your heart palpitate.
Unless you're a miner.
Yeah, but I mean, it's well done, and it's thematically grounded in the actions that you take. And what else can you ask for? I don't know. I mean, we've talked since we've just played this game twice, and we've talked about whether we want to keep it or not. And man, it's a good game. I mean, it's a really, really good design by Martin Wallace. And I watched another guy talk about it, and he said it's it's a lighter game for Martin Wallace. And wow, yeah, that might be. But there were some AP moments in this game for sure. Especially for me, and there's times when I couldn't decide what to do, because in order to do well in this game, at the end of each round, you have to really have weaved your strategy. It's a 4-round game, and you have to produce at the end of each round something from this market in order to turn it into money so that you can turn it into points. And here's how that goes. You start out the game with 3 cards in front of you, an A, B, and a C. I didn't put them out in front of us. We set this game up to after we got done playing. But you'll have 3 cards in front of you that you can see. An A, B, and a C card. You have 3 districts on the board, A, B, and C. And again, this is set up for 2-player. I've got this stuff on the board right here because we're not using that part of the board. In a 3-player game, you expose more, and in a 4- and 5-player game, the whole board is going to be exposed. So it's going to be a little bit different looking when you play the game. But it plays well at 2. I didn't have any problem with it at all, even though it uses an auction bidding mechanism, which comes into play even in the 2-player game. So I was pretty impressed with that. There are times when you're going to want to stop the other player in a 2-player game from taking that particular mining space on the board. But what you do, you have markers over here that spend the work time for the actions that you take that are on the board. And it's pretty nice. You got a little square here in the middle of the board that tells you every action you're going to take. I won't get into every rule in this game. I just want to give you an overview. So these are the actions you're going to take on your turn. You can take any one of those actions and it costs you the time listed below it. Okay? And then you're going to spend the time on this track. And like other games, some other games, whoever's in the back gets to go first. So if you spend less time than your opponent, and you're still in the back, you maybe end up taking 2 turns in a row. It just happens, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I like that. Also on this track, it has a couple of eyes on here. Whoever is first player gets to peek at one of the tiles that are still face down the board. That's kind of a nice thing. It doesn't sound like a lot, but in this game, it's nice to know if the tile that you're going to select is something like this with 4 water and just 1 tin and 1 copper. 4 water. Water is the price. It should say dollars.
Yeah.
But this is a board game, so they transfer it into the theme. So it's water because you have to get water off the land in order to mine it. But that's the price. So in other words, if you want to mine this single 1 copper and single 1 tin off of this space, it will cost you $4 per cube to take them off, mine them off that space. That's steep. So that tile really sucks.
That's not a good one.
Yeah, there are ways to get water off of all the tiles, but man, there's just not a lot to
There's
mine
ways to
there.
mitigate some of that.
Yeah, so that would be a rough one. I mean, and this one here has 4 water also, but it's got 3 copper and 3 tin. So that would be a little better. At least you're going to, for your time on that, when you place your mine on this space, you're going to be able to get some cubes off of it. So that's pretty nice.
Or maybe you have a card that takes off 2 water. That'd be great.
And then this one's got 3 copper and 2 tin and only 2 water. So that's really nice. So that one's going to be one that somebody's going to go after probably in the game. So that's the way this game works. You're going to select one of these actions on the board. It doesn't matter which one you take. I mean, you have to decide what you're going to take. And then you take this marker, let's say you're going to use the mining action, select one of these locations on the board and do the mining action. I can select one of the face-up tiles, or I can select one that's face down. But each tile has a letter on it, an A, B, or C, and I have to use a card associated with that particular space. And then I would place my mine on that space with the cubes that are on there. So this would, I would have to spend an A card, because this is an A tile, and I would take, it needs 3 water, and it has the benefit, or the 2 copper and 2 tin, and that's what's stated on this tile right here. Hopefully that comes into view. And then that tile is removed from the board, and now that is my mine. That's the yellow player's mine. And to take any of those cubes off, I have to spend $1 for each cube of water. So it would cost me $3 per cube to take that off that space. Now I'm going to try and get some of that water off of there. Ultimately, because money and how you manage it is how you do well in this game. And when you do take a cube off of here, you have to add another water cube. So that's really it. That's the rough part, man. So if you don't mitigate some of this water, and let's say you buy 2 of these cubes off of here, then you're going to take 2 cubes off. You have to spend $6 on your money track, 3 for each cube, and then at the end of your turn, you have to add a water cube. Now, every cube you take off of there, it's going to cost you $4 a cube, and that's how that works. And then you have other actions you can select on this board, and some of them are taking these items, which take a lot of that water off the tiles. If you place a ship, it has to be on a port or on the coast. Now that takes 1 water off your space, and it allows you to extract 1 more while you're mining. And if you take the extract or action off the board, you can only take 2 cubes off the board. But if you add a ship to that mine space, like this is on the coast, so if I added a ship to it, it would remove 1 of those water cubes, and I could take 3 during my extraction now, 3 cubes. And then you're looking over here at the price that's been set in the market, and you're trying to ask yourself, which items do I want to mine? And if whichever costs more or is going to give you more money when you sell it, that's the ones you want to go after. But that's the mining action. That's how the water works as far as determining the cost of extracting tin and copper off those spaces. You can put a train on your space. It will remove 2 water and remove a water on each space adjacent to it, plus some other things that go on if there is no mines on those spaces, but I'm not going to talk about that. And then you can place one of these miners. That allows you to extract 1 more cube off that space when you extract ore, and for each one of these spaces you can only have 1 of these items. So you couldn't have 2 miners, you couldn't have 2 ships or 2 trains on that space to remove some of that water. And then this little half tube thing is called an adit, and you can put that in between 2 spaces, and it's going to remove water. And thematically, they used to do this. They used to dig a little tunnel into the next field or whatever to allow drainage, and they would discover more tin and ore. So when you put that tube down between 2 spaces, you're going to add tin and copper to those spaces. So it's pretty cool. They did a great job integrating that into the game as far as the reality of mining in this particular area of the world. And then you can also get these steam pumps, and that removes water off some space that you choose. Now the nice thing about these steam pumps is they replenish at the end of every round, where the rest of these are you can only spend whatever you start out with on this board. So in round 1 you've got 1 adit, 1 ship, and 1 extra miner, but these 3 will go away for the rest of the game. Now in round 2, the miners, ships, and this adit will go away for the rest of the game, where the steam pumps will always replenish. So it's very limited. And these adits, there's only 3 of them in a 2-player game, so we're fighting over those. Whoever, you have to think of, am I going to be first in the next round? If I'm going to be first, because I want to get that adit and put it between, I have 2 mines, I want to put that in between, because it's going to add, between the 2 spaces, 4 cubes for me to mine and get more money.
That's the most expensive action.
Yes, and it costs 3 times.
Costs 3 times.
So not only is it one of the best things you can do, it's the most expensive on the board, and it's hard to do that.
Because then your other player is going to take 2 more turns at least.
So it's a great balancing act. It's a very nicely designed game, and as you gather those cubes and you mine those cubes and put them in front of you, once the round is over and both these tokens get up here and you've spent all your spaces and actions, and you can pass early and get down here to the market board, but we didn't do it very often, did we?
I think I did it once.
You did it once? Yeah, I'm spending every
I
one
didn't
of
have
my...
any money, so I couldn't do anything. I was totally out of money, so I passed early.
I mean, but the thing is, the first player down here is going to get 1 more point for their dollar than the second guy. And I ended up being the second guy most of the time because I was going to eke out everything I could out of this board. And then once you get down here, all those cubes you've collected in front of you, you have to sell. And you have to sell them at these market prices that you set with these dice at the beginning of the game, or beginning of the round, excuse me. And you take your money token and all the ore that you sold, the tin and the copper, and whatever your total is, you move your money marker. Then, after everybody has sold all their cubes, these markers are going. Then you're going to buy points with the money that you accumulated, and that's pretty neat too, because you can only buy in 10s and 5s. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's a well-balanced game, but you're simply going to be doing that, taking one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, one of these 8 actions off the board. Spend the time to do so. Placing mines. Mining cubes to put them in front of you, turning them into dollars, and then with your dollars buying points. And that's the system in this game. It's brilliant. It's a great game. There's no doubt about it. I can see why people are huge fans of this game. I mean, this board is beautiful. It's a good game. I mean, we're definitely going to hang on to it for a while. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
This isn't a game where I go, oh wow, I just don't mind. We never play it. Yeah, I'd play it again. It's a great game. And I would imagine with a higher player count, it would become a little more interesting. Anytime you have an auction bidding mechanism, it's going to be more interesting because you have more people wanting those spaces. But there'll be more spaces available, so I don't think it would be that different. But it would be nice to see more tiles out here and see how that higher player count would affect the things that you're doing. Now you also have these other boards here that give you more trains and boats and all that for the higher player counts. So there's going to be more of those available. I don't know. It plays well at 2. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever. I wouldn't pick this over Via Nebula.
No.
For us.
For us.
Yeah, I mean that's us. Because the world of Via Nebula, first of all, is more attractive. But I tell you guys, if great board game designers are hard to come by, and Martin Wallace is a great one. So when I saw this on the clearance table, I said, well, and I just watched somebody on YouTube talk about this game, and he really liked it. And it's the guy over at Board Gems, so we grabbed it and brought it home and learned how to play it. And I'm glad we did. I'm glad I was able to say I played this game, and we're going to keep it, for sure. I don't know for how long, but we're definitely going to keep this game. It is an awesome game. And there's just so much going on this tiny board. I mean, I love that. I talk about that all the time. So there's no player boards.
No player board games.
Well, hey, this could have been in my top 10 no player boards.
Yep.
So yeah, I appreciate a board game designer who's smart enough and good enough to make a great game that doesn't use player boards. I like that. We thought very hard and fought intellectually through this game just in what you see here. Since Lori mentioned, there's no player board, this game just moved up a notch. Because I love that. I love it when a board game designer is good enough to create a game that's fun, interesting, and challenging enough, and you don't need a player board to do that. Watch my video on top 10 board games that don't use player boards. Those games are just interesting to me, and there's some really dandy games out there by good designers that do exactly that. So yeah, that's Tinner's Trail, you guys. It's a heck of a game. I can highly recommend it if you guys come across it, or if you go to a convention you've never played it. There's so many people obsessed with what's new today? Oh, that's a new game. Everything's new. You know, go back in time once in a while and take a look and see what you've missed. Sometimes it's just as good looking out the back window as it is the front window. Depends on where you're going and where you've been. But Tanner's Trail is worth your effort. Check it out when you get the chance. I love every one of you. Keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet. Comment on the video. If you get the chance, give us a thumbs up. We'll see you the next time on The Bones Collector. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. And today Lori and I just got done playing Ra. Now Ra is a game that came out in 1999, so it is looking at, what, 23 years old, something like that?
24.
Yeah, this is really starting to show some gray hair like me, which is okay because it's getting better just like I am. This edition, however, I believe is just delivering now, 2023. It's called the Pharaoh edition, and it's by Dr. Reiner Knizia, the game doctor, who probably, I mean, I'm going to do another video of my the top 10 board game designers, the best board game designers in the world, and gosh, I know he probably, when you consider the body of work that he has done in board gaming, probably number one. I mean,
Probably done more than anybody.
Yeah, he's definitely, and more good games too. I mean, we just got, he did Llama Dice. We just got that and played it and loved that.
And high score.
Yeah, and high score both. Both inexpensive, you know, $10, $15 games and just a lot of fun. But hey, Reiner Knizia just has done amazing stuff. But this game, Ra, came out in 1999, and it is an auction bidding, push your luck, and set collection game. And I'll tell you about the production of this game because it is fantastic. It was in our local game store up here by the house. I walked in and they were having their 1-year anniversary celebration sale, and we went in and they had a copy of this game and they had it discounted, and I walked out the door with it for $78. And usually I won't spend that much money, but in this particular case it was well worth it. But I got this beautiful bag to draw the tiles out of. I mean, it's a huge bag, and it holds all these wooden tiles. I mean, these big chunky wooden tiles that you are going to use in the game. If you see it all over the table here, we just got done playing. I wanted you guys to see this game, what it looks like when it's on the table. It is so beautiful. And I tell you, games like this that have a simple rule set that are very thinky are the ones that you want to have an elaborate production of, because you just play them over and over, and every time you play them they're completely different. But yeah, you get this great big draw bag, you get this other draw bag here with all the gold in it. You see these beautiful gold coins that you earn during the game, different denominations, 1s, 2s, 5s, and 10s, and they look like scrolls, what do you call it, tablets, like gold tablets. This is an Egyptian themed game. And then this great big chunky piece that is Ra, and you got this sunboat marker that goes along this auction board, and it has a player count on it, so you know where to start it on this track, and it's going to move along there whenever you draw a Ra tile out of the bag. But the rule book is like it's almost cloth. I mean, it's really nice. I don't know what you call that. Yeah, it's almost a cloth rule book. That's really cool. And this box, I'm always complaining about bad game boxes. This is a nice sturdy box. Hey, Queen Games, this is what you should have put your Steffenfeld City Collection in, is a box like this, nice and thick. That's pretty nice. You know, top and bottom. And I told you it plays 2 to 5 players. Hopefully I said that. And then these auction tokens are big chunks of wood. I mean, they're screen printed. They're so nice, man. Everything in this game is fabulous. These player boards that you use, I'll tip mine up. The player boards are so nice. Each side is for a different player count. Originally in 1999, Ra did not play 2 players. It came out, it was a 3 to 5 player game in 1999, and they have since rethought that. I mean, come on. And built this game around a 2-player variant also. So it depends on how many players you have, which side of these game boards you use, and there's 5 of them, and it tells you which bid tokens to use, and it has all the scoring opportunities listed on here too, so that you know how the game is scored as you're playing it, and that's pretty cool. And at the top it tells you these tiles on the left stay from the beginning of the game to the end, And these tiles on the right has an icon there that shows that you throw all those away at the end of one of the epochs or whatever. I'm going to call them epic. I don't know how else to.
How do you pronounce that?
Yeah, epoch, whatever. And this game is played over 3 epochs, and that's determined by this auction board. You go down, this sunboat reaches the end 3 times, and then the game is over. But at the end of each epoch, you score, and so it tells you how to do that on this board. And then at the end of the game also, as you can see when you have your whatever tokens you have left on your board here, you're going to add those up, and the value of those tokens, it shows you at the bottom here, are going to score you points, and if you beat the other player, they lose points. And you gain 5 points for winning, lose 5 points for not winning, so you get punished. So getting these tokens at the end of the game is very important, and you get those because you're going to be bidding, using them to bid with. And there's going to be one token, bid token, all the time on the auction board, and when you win a bid, your token is going to take its place, and you will take that token off the auction board and turn it over face down and put it on your player boards. And at the end of the game, you flip those over, add them up, and whoever has the most gets 5 points. Everybody else loses 5. So that's really, really cool. And what that causes you to do is not only think about bidding on the tiles that are available to you, but which token you're going to take. So if you're spending a 9 and getting back a 1, if there's a 1 on that auction board, oh man, that's a tough decision, because again, that's a big swing. 10 points. I mean, you're gaining 5, they're losing 5, so that's a 10-point swing at the end of the game. And if you haven't played Ra, you know, I'm going to assume most of you have. Again, the game's been out for 20-some years. This is the Pharaoh edition, and there is another retail edition that came out just with this. It's just not so tricked out, but it's still very, very nice. And I'm sure it costs a little bit less, so if you can locate that, I mean, that's also a very, very nice package.
The tiles and the money are cardboard. That's the only difference, I think.
Yeah, Lori says the tiles and the money are cardboard, but you know, I mean...
And the bags are small.
Yeah, but you know, you just... it plays the same. It's the same game. It's that package is I've seen on YouTube. It's pretty also, and you don't want to miss the opportunity to play this game if you love board gaming. Again, you know, the rule book. You know, there's not very how many pages are in here even. 8 pages of rules, and this is on the back. It shows you how to play the game. So that's 7 pages of rules. There's just not a lot of rules in this game, but there's a lot of strategy to it, a lot to think about. Hey, that's our favorite kind of games, you guys. This is definitely, I mean, this is so far up in my top 100. This is just an absolute phenomenal game by Reiner Knizia. And Ra has a 20th anniversary package coming out. You know, another Knizia design that's supposed to be fantastic. So he's just fabulous. But man, I tell you what, this game is so cool. And Lauren and I just got done playing it 4 times in a row. And just, I mean, we were laughing and giggling about how we're going to strategize and win this game. Because you're like, I'm going to make you take those tiles because I can see that you can outbid me. And I don't want you to get a bunch of good tiles. So when 2 tiles come out, I'm going to invoke Ra, which is one of your 3 actions that you can take. You can only do 3 things on your turn. You can draw a tile out of that bag and put it on the auction board underneath here, or you can invoke Ra and cause a bidding phase to take place, or you can spend a god token, which is one of these tokens that you see here. Can I have any laying around? Yes. You see here, this is a god token, has the Egyptian eye on there. I'm sure there's a name for that that's very more, you know, impressive than the one I just used, the Egyptian eye. When you see that, the god token, I can take that and burn my turn if I want to get a tile I really, really want. And that comes in very handy. If you're lucky enough to get one of those, make sure you use it. You still get 2 points for it if you don't use it, but at the end of the round it gets discarded. But you want to get a tile that you really want, because some of these set collections, if you don't have any of those tiles, you get minus points. Or if the other person has more of them than you do, you're going to get minus points, and they get plus points. So there's a lot going on with the set collection, and it's just, I mean, so much to think about in this game. It's just incredible that the rule set is so small. But I love those kinds of designs, and not everybody can do that, you guys. I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of good board game designers that cannot design a board game as good as Ra. You just can't do it because you're trying to fit an intellectual complexity into a design that's very simple, and not many people can do that. But Reiner Knizia can, and the great designers, Bruno Cathala, Uwe Rosenberg, Stefan Feld, all those guys are good at that kind of thing. That's why they don't really have to work for anybody; they work for themselves. But yeah, I wanted to tell you about this package. It's so fantastic. Again, these big chunky wooden pieces. The tiles are all wood and beautifully printed. I don't know, those are the Ra tiles, and there's just so much to look at. It's just eye candy on this table. Just absolutely a fantastic package. And I think I commented to Lori, I think this box is about the size of viticulture. But I like the fact that this game was published at such a high level and in a small box, relatively small. I think this will disappear very quickly. If you want to call your local game store, see if they have any of them in, I would advise you do that. Because I think their website, the publisher, 25th Century,
I don't remember if they have.
I don't know if they have any left or not.
I can look right
But I got a feeling these are going to disappear quick. And again, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it to you? We play a lot of board games, and when we get them out, I like them to look nice, but I don't want to take out a loan to buy a $500 Kickstarter. But I thought $78 out the door. It was
Tax
78
and
bucks. Yeah, that was taxes and everything. 78 bucks. Man, I tell you what, for an outstanding game. I mean, it's a proven winner. It's been out since 1999. It's a proven winner, you guys, and that's hard to find, because most of the times if you're buying a new game off Kickstarter or even at your game store, you don't know if that thing has the legs to make it for 23 years like Ra has. Ra has lasted. It stood the test of time, and this is worth buying and playing if you like that kind of puzzly nature game. It's a push your luck game, and there's times when someone's going to draw something out of the bag that you want and you're not going to get it, or you're going to draw something out of the bag that they want and they can't get it, or it's just the way these types of games work, and that drives a lot of people crazy. I love it. I love that kind of thing when you don't know what's going to happen and you can't control everything in this game, and I like that. I like games that have a twist, an unknown twist, some push your luck elements that maybe somebody who even plays this game for the first time can beat you. I like that. I enjoy that. And Ra has that element, because you never know what's going to come out of that bag. And you never know when you're going to... They got them?
You can pre-order it from Game Nerds, the base version, for $36. The Pharaoh version is out of stock even on 25th Century's website.
Okay, yeah, these have disappeared maybe already. But you might find one in your game store, your local game store, if you can go in there and take a look around. Yeah, I just wanted to tell you about it. We enjoy this game. It's going to be one that we play for the rest of our lives. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought it. But I really, really enjoy this game. I wanted to tell you about it. 23 years old. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And it's probably better than 95% of the games that will come out this year.
Yeah.
And that's something to think about. You have to go back in time sometimes to get a great board game. It's not always the new stuff. Just because it's new doesn't make it better. This game is absolutely fantastic.
It's
I
pretty.
love it.
They
It's pretty, and it is fun. And I'm telling you what, we were sitting here laughing about who's going to do what. I'm going to make you take those tiles. I'm going to make you take them by invoking Ra, and I know you can beat me, with the bid. And if you pass, I'm going to take those tiles, and I need those anyways. So, it's just so much to think about when you're trying to manipulate that auction, because not only for the tiles that are available, but for what tokens you want to take. Also, what your opponent has showing on their board. It's all public knowledge, so you can see what they've got. They can outbid you. How many bidding tokens do they have that are higher than the ones you have? So you're thinking about that whole thing when you're trying to drawing those tiles out of the bag and trying to decide when is the right time to either invoke Ra, or should I wait, press my luck, and see if somebody draws a Ra tile out of the bag. And lo and behold, just the game we just finished, I let Lori have something. I said, "Oh, I'm gonna take a chance. The sun boat was all the way down to the last space. That means if a raw tile comes out of the bag, the game is over and you lose the tiles, any tiles that are on the auction board. And I said, oh, I'm going to take a chance that I can draw some out of the bag. And lo and behold, the second tile drawn was a raw tile.
Yeah.
That was it. The game was over. So, but those things happen, and you laugh about them because it's, oh! Dang nabbit! I drew a raw tile, and the game's over. I was pressing my luck. What are the disaster tiles?
Disaster tiles, yeah, those hurt too.
Those hurt, man. There's some of those in the bag, and once you draw one of those, it tells you, hey, you got to get rid of 2 of your monument tiles, or 2 of a certain type that are going to.
2 of the flood tiles.
Yeah.
2 of the.
Oh. So much fun, you guys. So much fun, and board gaming can be a blast, and be thinky, and still be fun. But man, this is a simple board game design. It's been tricked out by 25th century games, and it's worth it. I just wanted to tell you about it because we just got done having a couple hours of fun playing this thing 4 times in a row, and I really, really like that. So we'll see you next time on The Bonus Collector. If you have any questions about anything you saw here, leave comments below the video, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Please give us a like and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet because of board game designers like Reiner Knizia and the game he designed 23 years ago, Ra. See you next time.